Hey guys, welcome to another episode of El Jefe's Shop. This week it's going to be a Camry week. I wasn't planning on it, but I did a whole bunch of the work to the Camry, so let's get into the episode. Alright, so this week the plan is to make this thing a bit more ready to be a daily. So I'm currently using my stepmom's Renault. So I need to register this thing soon and drive it again. So there's a few water leaks that I'd like to fix up. Then I'd like to make the thing a whole lot nicer to be in. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of sound ender and chuck it in. Alright, so I should be driving the Camry, but because I've borrowed the Renault off my stepmom, I've got a few more days to try and tidy this thing up before I need to actually drive it. So one of the main issues is even just moving in and out of the driveway is the back is scrubbing. I went a little bit bigger tyre than what was a factory and it's just enough to scrub. So next time I get tyres, I'll go back to the original size. But for now, I want to get the life out of the tyres. So I'm going to have to raise the whole car up just a little bit. And then I also want to try and delete some of the coolant hoses and make the coolant passages as simple as possible. So number one would be the heater. So I've replaced that in the past and it hasn't leaked, but I'd like to get rid of it. So that's just a 19mm U hose that I need to get for there. And then the other thing I'd like to delete is the coolant that runs through the throttle body to keep all that stuff warm in very cold temperatures. So I won't need that. So I'm going to jump in and pull all this apart and find out what size block off little caps I need so that I can delete all of that. So try and keep it as minimalistic as possible, so that it is nice and simple and hopefully lasts a little longer. So I'm going to pull the intake off and see what hoses I need. Alright, so that's the intake off. Just a pipe up here, and then disconnect, clamp just there, and one plug. So pretty easy. So now what I'm going to do is take off all this heater hose stuff. So I'm going to undo just here, which I have replaced in the past, and then undo this guy and that guy. Take those off, and then I'll find the next source of a leak. Alright, so that's pretty basic. Just take those hoses off, and now I need a 19mm U hose, which I should be able to buy from Sprint or similar. So the next thing I want to do is get rid of this guy, which goes up to the throttle body and deletes on the cooling around there. So this one's going to be a bit tricky, but I will find the other end of it and then we'll be sweet. Alright, so I finished running around for the day. I went and got some little rubber plugs, so these just go on the end of a pipe and stop coolant coming out. So I got those, and then I also got a Z hose, which is just like a generic hose in the right size. Cut it down so it's just this U, so that's blocking the heater off. And then I've blocked off just here the coolant for the throttle body. So I need to find which one of these back two lets water out. They may both let water out, I'm not too sure just yet. It's those two in here. So I've hooked up the funnel to the radiator and I'm going to let the water in and it'll come out of one of those two holes, and then I can block that one. I'll do it again, see if it comes out anywhere else, and just keep the process going until I've blocked off all of the hoses that I've disconnected. Then I can put everything back together. So I'll let that go now and see where it leaks. Well, it decided that it pumped out of that bottom one there, so I will plug that up and go again. Alright, so I got that one blocked off in there. So I'll pull the funnel again and see if it comes out the other hole. Not yet. Seems like it's filling up, so that's good. I'm not getting any water anywhere just yet. I would expect that other hose to leak, but maybe it's not the right height yet. The engine needs to fill with water first. We'll see how we go. So looking at this other hose here with fresh eyes, it goes to that one there. It actually looks like it's probably just vacuum or similar from the engine. So I'll put the intake back together, see if the engine does require vacuum there and if those two should be connected, and maybe put them back together. But nothing else seems to be leaking, so I've obviously done a reasonable job of capping off what I need to. So that's the throttle body deleted and the heaters deleted, but there's a lot less spots for the coolant to have failures now. So you mainly just got the hose that goes to the radiator and the bottom hose, and it all goes to the engine, and that's pretty much it. So just trying to simplify everything as much as I can. So chuck this intake back on and see if that needs to be plugged. Alright, so I've got the engine running here. Hopefully you can hear that hose is letting in air, so I need to block that off back to, or plumb that up back to where it was plumbed up. So I'll turn the car off and do that. Alright, so I put it all back together. I went to put this hose back on that goes from the intake to the cam cover, and it was rock hard and split. And then the back one I checked as well, and that one was pretty hard. So I'll replace those tomorrow. But now the coolant system is all bled back up. Everything's deleted that I can, so there's no heater anymore, and there is no throttle body cooling, which I won't need, or warming or whatever it used to do. Won't need those. So that's pretty much all I can do on the coolant front that will stop this thing from overheating or help it from not overheating. So that's pretty much all I can do for now, but that means I feel a whole lot safer driving this thing to and from work, and it's not going to let me down. So I will get the hoses for the intake tomorrow, put those on, and then I need to raise the car up a little bit because that back is still scrubbing and I've rolled the guards and I can't do anything more, so I'll raise it up a little bit. Alright, so looking into lifting the car up a little bit. So the sill panel to the floor in the front is 150mm, and the sill panel in the back to the floor is 165mm. I probably want to come up about 25mm in the back, so that'll make about 190 in the back and 150 in the front, so I'll probably need to come up in the front a little bit as well. So I'll lift the front probably 30 or 40mm and lift the back 25mm, and it should be relatively even. I don't really want to go up, but I just realised that the chassis rail is about 95mm off the ground, so it's actually pretty low. It doesn't really look it because of the tyres being really quite big, but that scrubbing will stop me from driving this thing anyway, so I'll lift it up a bit. Alright, so I've raised the front about 30mm and I've raised the back about 20mm. So now there is a nice amount of clearance everywhere, and this shouldn't scrub anymore. There's a fair bit of clearance there. Obviously on a big bump it'll scrub, but I can deal with that. So need to get 2 hoses tomorrow because these are rock solid. So I'll get some new ones tomorrow, and then this thing will be ready to return to daily duties. Alright, so it's a new morning. I raised the car last night, and then this morning I just went and got a new hose for here, so that one's not rock hard anymore, and a new hose for the back there. Doesn't look as good as it did, but doesn't really matter. These ones aren't rock solid, so they will not leak. So I'll try and start the car again, make sure that works, and then I've got some degreaser to clean the engine bay, clean all this grotty coolant or water off of the engine bay, and I'm going to jump inside and put some Dynamat in. Alright, so I've blanked off all those lines. Some of them were vacuum lines, so I had to reinstall them, which was a bit annoying, but it's all back together. Most of the stuff that I thought was coolant running through the throttle body was actually just vacuum, so I've put those back on and blocked off the coolant ones that I can. So there was obviously only probably 1 of those or 2 of those instead, but that's all sorted now. So I've covered everything in degreaser, and hopefully I'll better get all this red dust off, and then hopefully get some grease off the back, and hopefully make it a bit nicer. And then when I go to drive this again, I'll be able to see if there's any fresh leaks or issues. So nothing too exciting. I'm just going to pressure wash this, and then I'll move on to sound deadener. Alright, I've pressure washed for basically as long as I can be bothered. It's all nice and clean, and a whole lot better than it was. I got in here and got a whole bunch of grease out, which is nice. Hopefully that'll slow all the issues. So it actually looks pretty clean, but I'm still pretty sure this engine's hurt, so I'm just trying to bide as much time as I can. So let's get into the inside and do some sound deadening. Alright, so I've got 2 boxes of this old Dynamat. Hasn't been used obviously, but there was pretty much 2 full boxes. I bought it back in the day when I had a Toyota Sierra and a big stereo in it. So I'm just going to take the back seat out. I've already done underneath the back seat. I did that the other day. So I'm going to take the front seats out, try and take most of the carpet at least up, maybe not out, and try and lay in the floor. And then when I pull the headlining out to do that, I would like to put some up there. And then obviously the boot area and stuff would be good as well. Inside the doors, I'm just going to go kind of ham, because I like this to be a nice place to sit in, and I like it to be nice and quiet. So the sound deadener should help with that. So I'll get into this, rip a whole bunch of interior apart, and I'll show you how to put Dynamat in. Alright, so I've ripped a bunch of interior out, got the seat out, and pulled the carpet back. Everything's been vacuumed, so now I need to put the Dynamat down here. So I've already done this bit like I said. So all it is a foil with like a tar on the back, and you just roll it on. So you peel the protective layer off, which is this brown stuff, and then stick the shiny side up and the tar on the bottom, and then there's a little roller it looks like that. You just push down on it and get it nice and stuck in all the crevices. So I'm going to do this part of the floor, and I'll join up here into the back part, which I've already done, and as high as I can on the sides, and then I'll do the tunnel when I take this seat out and move the carpet. So I'm just going to spend probably an hour and just keep going with this, try and get as much down as I can. And then I'd like to do the front floor under where the driver's feet go, or the passenger's feet go, but that needs more dash taken out. So I'll do this back bit first, and then I'll work that last little bit and get it done. So I'd like to do inside the doors and the wheel arches and stuff, but I'll see how far I get today. It's a little bit time consuming, you just got to cut it the size and roll it on. Alright, so I've done this floor panel here and up the side. Did a bit of the C pillar, the B pillar as well. Joined the back to the front, so that's nice. So now I've ripped out the other side of the seat and carpet, rolled all the carpet forwards. So now I'm going to do that over the tunnel and then that side. I'll do up the pillar a bit as well, and then I can put the carpet back in and then try and fold the front half of the carpet back and try and get in there to do the front half. So I've got one sheet left and I'm on to the second box. So to give you an idea, that's pretty much a whole box of Dynamat. So I'll keep going and see how far we can get. Alright, so I forgot to show that side, but now I'll show you this side. So it's all Dynamated, everything is covered up. I haven't got right under the dash, but I will get to that if the dash comes out. I've done most of the tunnel. Again, I'll get to that if I get access in there at a later date. So pretty much done for now, the whole floor's done. So I'd like to get back here, I've got a little bit left over, so I'll do the arches and a bit of the boot floor, and then I'll have to get some more to do the doors and the roof lining and stuff. It doesn't go as far as I was expecting. When you start covering all the little nooks and crannies, it does use a fair bit. So I'm going to put this carpet back in, I'll put the dash all back together, I'll leave the seats out for now, and then I can clean the floor and everything, and then I'll do this bit back here. Alright, so I've taken the back seats out, and I'm going to see how far I can get with the Dynamat up the wheel arches along the floor, and on that side as well. I probably should take the parcel shelf out and do up there as well. So I may do that, and that'll lead into the C pillars, so we'll see how far I go. I will report back, because I'm sure you've seen enough time-lapsing of Dynamat and my back. Alright, so that was super fiddly, but we've got all of the arch all covered. This section of the firewall, I guess. And then I've covered down here and overlapped the two layers, so the bit underneath the seat and this back section. And it's all done over there. So I've got the seats back in. I've got this much left and one full sheet, so I'm not sure what I want to do with it, whether I do some boot floor or wait till I pull the parcel shelf out. I'm not really sure just yet, so if I do some more, I'll show you. If I don't, then this is where we're at. So I'm just going to put the interior back together for now, and all of this is done. Whether or not I do the parcel shelf, that will be a different day regardless. If I do the boot floor, I'll do that today. But I'm just going to clean up because there's piles and piles of paper everywhere, and I need to get this interior back in. Alright, so I've got all the back seat back in. Just got all the carpet vacuumed. Probably give it another go in a minute. I did find another set of floor mats, so I got a set out of the CRV that I wrecked a couple of weeks ago, and I've got the original Camry set, so I'm going to put both sets in. I'll trim the CRV ones to fit as best I can, and then put the Camry ones over the top. Just try and get another layer of carpet in here, try and make it even quieter. So I'll grab those now, chuck them in, and then I need to put this center console back together. Alright, got the floor mats back in. The original Camry ones are grubby as, and we got the CRV ones underneath. They don't fit perfectly obviously, but they should add another layer and hopefully make it a bit quieter. I need some better ones because these ones are so filthy and old and ragged. So that's done for now. So I'll try and get this center console back in and then do the seats. Alright, so that's pretty much the Camry done for now. I need to put the seats back in still, but the engine bay is all nice and clean. I'll probably wash it again this afternoon. Raised up about an inch also all round, and then the interior has been dynamatted and reinstalled, and I cleaned all the bits that I took off and sprayed some like new car scent or whatever, just some smelly stuff to try and make it smell a bit better all around. Not that it really stinks, but it's better. And then 2 lots of floor mats to try and make it quieter. So lots of very unnoticeable improvements. So next I would like to do, I've got some seats that I'd like to put in it, so I might do that soon, I might not. And then I need to finish dynamatting the rest of the interior, redo that roof lining, clean this engine bay again, and then just road test it basically. So just trying to make it a bit more of a pleasant place to be for a daily. So not super stoked with the height now because it is kind of high compared to what it was before, but it's much more usable, so I guess that'll have to do. But that's the progress on the Camry. I need to clean up because there is stuff everywhere. Alright, so I decided to use the last of the Dynamat just on the back here in the boot. So as you can see, I didn't even have enough to do that little corner, so didn't go very far really. I need a billion more boxes. I'd like to put some on the boot, and I'd like to put some on the doors, and then wherever else I've missed in this back whole half and on the inside of the quarters and stuff. So probably another 2 boxes really, but that can wait for another day. Pressure wash this really quickly again. It seems to be running quite well, and it's not like taking much coolant or leaking much coolant, so that's good. The real test will be when I drive it obviously, but it's all hopefully pretty fixed. So still don't have the seats in. I need to decide if I'm putting these ones back in or if I'm putting the other ones in. I will decide when I have more time, I guess. It'll only take 10 minutes to put those seats back in, so I'll do that if I need to drive the Camry. Alright, so that's it for this week's episode. We need to put the seats back in. I was going to put some different seats in, but I've decided against it for now. So I'm going to put the stock seats back in and call this thing done. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.